Sabi mo lang kay Greg, sana. The 72nd session of the Senate in the second regular session of the 16th Congress is hereby called to order. Senator Gregorio Honasan II will lead us in prayer. Senator
Thank you, Mr. President. Father, as we perform our duties as public servants, please grant us tolerance and the capacity to gently remind ourselves and others of our freedoms, rights, and responsibilities. Please teach all of us to persevere in upholding due process and the rule of law. Allow us to constantly recalibrate our moral compass, that it may always point towards the true north of our national aspirations, so that we can continue to work and pray hard for unity, lasting peace, and a better life for all as one Filipino nation. Amen.
Amen. The Secretary will call the roll.
Roll call of members. The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino, Binay, Cayetano Alan Peter Compañero S., Cayetano Pia S., Defensor Santiago, Ejercito, Enrile, Escudero Estrada, Gingona, Hunasan, Lapid, Legarda, Marcos, Usmeña, Pimentel, Poe, Recto, Revilla, Soto, Trillanes, Villar, Senate President Drilon.
Fifteen senators are present. The chair declares the presence of the quorum. Before the chair recognizes the majority leader, we wish to greet Maria Lourdes Nancy Binay. A very happy birthday today. Happy birthday, Nancy.
May we suspend for a minute so that the members can greet
suspension.
the birthday celebrant.
The Senate President did not see any blowout or merienda in the hall. Parating pa lang, ha? Walang merienda kasi, kaya hindi alam.
Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session resumed.
Mr. President, with the consent of the Senate, I move that we dispense with the reading of the Journal of the 71st Session, May 11, 2015, and consider the same as approved.
Any objection? Hearing none. The reading of the Journal of Session number 71 on Monday, May 11, 2015 is dispensed with and the same is hereby approved.
Mr. President, I move that we proceed with the reference of business.
Secretary will read the reference of business.
Bills on first reading. Senate number 2759, titled An Act amending certain provisions of RA 9547, otherwise known as An Act strengthening and expanding the coverage of the special program for employment of students, amending for the purpose provisions of RA 7323, otherwise known as the special program for employment of students, Senator Ejercito Estrada.
Labor, Employment, Human Resource Development.
Senate number 2760, an act enhancing the regulation on employment of foreign nationals and transfer of technology, amending for the purpose Articles 40, 41, and 42, Title 2, Book 1 of PD number 442 as amended, otherwise known as the Labor Code of the Philippines, by Senator Ejercito Estrada.
Labor, Employment, Human Resource Development, Foreign Relations.
Senate number 2761, an act requiring mandatory environment insurance coverage to promote ecological protection, Senator Grace Poe.
Committee on Environment, Natural Resources.
Resolution, PS Resolution number 1330, resolution celebrating the artistry and grace of cultural icon Lang Dulay and expressing the deep sympathy and sincere condolence of the Senate of the Philippines on the passing of the national treasure and Tinalak Dreamweaver by Senator Lapid.
Rules.
Additional reference of business committee reports. Committee report number 134 prepared, submitted by the Committee on Foreign Relations on PS Resolution number 1331 entitled Resolution Concurring in the Accession to the Nagoya Protocol on Access to Genetic Resources and the Fair and Equitable Sharing of Benefits arising from their utilization to the Convention on Biological Diversity, recommending its approval without amendment. Sponsor, Senator Defensor Santiago.
Calendar for ordinary business.
Committee report number 135, prepared, submitted by the Committee on Foreign Relations on PSR number 1332 entitled Resolution Concurring in the Ratification of the Agreement between the Government of the Republic of the Philippines and the Partnerships in Environmental Management for the Seas of East Asia, PEMSEA, establishing the PEMSEA Resource Facility Center, recommending its approval without amendment. Senator Defensor Santiago.
Calendar for ordinary business.
Committee report number 136, prepared, submitted by the Committee on Foreign Relations on PS Resolution number 1333 entitled Resolution Concurring in the Ratification of the Agreement on Social Security between the Republic of the Philippines and the Kingdom of Denmark, recommending its approval without amendment. Sponsor, Senator Defensor Santiago.
Calendar for ordinary business.
Committee report number 137, prepared and submitted by the Committee on Foreign Relations on PSR number 1334 entitled Resolution Concurring in the Ratification to the Protocol relating to an amendment to the Convention on International Civil Aviation, Article 3, BIS, recommending its approval without amendment. Sponsor, Senator Defensor Santiago.
Ordinary business.
Committee report number 138, prepared and submitted by the Committee on Foreign Relations on PSR number 1335 entitled Resolution Concurring in the Ratification of the Agreement on Social Security between the Portuguese Republic and the Republic of the Philippines, recommending its approval without amendment. Sponsor, Senator Defensor Santiago.
Calendar for ordinary business.
Committee report number 139, prepared and submitted by the Committee on Foreign Relations on PSR number 1336 entitled Resolution Concurring in the Accession to the 1999 Montreal Convention for the Unification of Certain Rules for International Carriage by Air, recommending its approval without amendment. Sponsor, Senator Defensor Santiago.
Ordinary business.
Mr. President, with the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution number 1301.
Any objection, hearing none. Consideration of the measure is in order.
Mr. President, may you request the Secretary to read the title and text of the said measure?
Secretary will do so.
Yes, Resolution number 1301 introduced by Senator Manuel Lito M. Lapid. Resolution expressing the deepest sympathy and condolences of the Senate of the Philippines to the Republic of Nepal for the tragic loss of more than 2,500 lives and widespread destruction brought about by 7.8 magnitude earthquake off Kathmandu on 25 April 2015. Whereas on 25 April 2015, a 7.8 magnitude earthquake and several aftershocks hit the Republic of Nepal and its neighboring countries. Whereas initial reports revealed a devastating toll of deaths across affected regions with more than 2,500 reported dead, at least 5,000 injured, and a deadly avalanche cascading the famous Mount Everest as of the evening of 26 April 2015. Whereas the earthquake hit the Himalayan nation shortly before noon of 25 April 2015, destroyed scores of neighborhoods in Kathmandu, and was felt across parts of India, Bangladesh, Tibet, and Pakistan, causing a number of aftershocks as strong as 6.7 magnitude and terrorizing the capital city of Kathmandu. Whereas rescue and relief operations are still ongoing to ascertain the real extent of loss and damage to life and property from the ruinous national disaster. Whereas the Senate of the Philippines stands as one with Nepal as it grieves for this devastating loss. Wherefore be it resolved, as it is hereby resolved, that the Senate of the Philippines expresses its deepest sympathy and condolences to the Republic of Nepal for the tragic loss of more than 2,500 lives and widespread destruction brought about by 7.8 magnitude earthquake off Kathmandu on 25 April 2015.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, as all the senators are saddened by this event and would like to also condole with the family of the Honorable Ambassador. May I request that all senators present be made co-authors of this measure?
Okay, all senators are present or made co-authors.
Mr. President, I move that we approve proposed Senate Resolution 1301, subject to style.
Any objection? Hearing none. Proposed Senate Resolution number 1301 is hereby adopted subject to style.
Mr. President, with the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution number 1328, taking into consideration proposed Senate Resolution 1329.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Sir President, may you request the Secretary to read the title and text of the said measure?
Secretary will read the title, text of the said measure.
Yes, Resolution number 1328, introduced by Senator Manuel Lito M. Lapid. Resolution expressing the deep sympathy and sincere condolence of the Senate of the Philippines on the untimely demise of the Philippine envoy to Pakistan, Honorable Domingo Lucenario Jr. Whereas Philippine envoy to Pakistan, Ambassador Domingo Lucenario Jr. was among the fatalities in a helicopter crash en route to an official function on May 2015 at Naltar Valley in Pakistan. Whereas Honorable Lucenario was appointed as Ambassador to Pakistan in 2012 with jurisdiction over Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. Whereas prior to his appointment to Pakistan, he also served as the Philippine Ambassador to Kenya and the Philippine non-resident envoy to Burundi, Comoros, Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Malawi, Madagascar, Mauritius, Rwanda, Seychelles, Uganda, Somalia, and Tanzania, and he was the Philippine Permanent Representative to the United Nations Environment Program and the United Nations Human Settlements Program. Whereas Ambassador Lucenario had a distinguished foreign service career, among which whereas Vice Consul, Legal Officer of the Philippine Consulate General in Hamburg, Germany, 1986 to 1990, as Officer in Charge, Third Secretary and Vice Consul at the Philippine Embassy, Berlin Office, Germany, 1990 to 1992, as First Secretary and Consul at the Philippine Embassy in Canberra, Australia, 1996 to 2000, as Consul at the Philippine Consulate General in Hong Kong, SAR, 2000 to 2004, and as Assistant Secretary for Consular Affairs, 2005 to 2009. Whereas Ambassador Lucenario was noted for his work as Project Manager of the Philippine Machine-Readable e-Passport Program, which allowed for Filipinos to travel internationally with relative ease and haste. Whereas Ambassador Lucenario successfully handled several other special projects and positions in the DFA, among which are as Chairman of the National Committee on Illegal Entrance, Chairman of the Interagency Committee on Passport Irregularities, Assistant Secretary of the National Organizing Committee on the ASEAN Summit of 2007, the Global Forum on Migration and Development of 2008, and the Special Ministerial Meeting on the Non-Aligned Movement in 2009. Whereas Ambassador Lucenario is the only Filipino career diplomat who had the rare distinction of having been awarded by the President of the Philippines with 3 major presidential awards for his exceptional and meritorious stint in foreign service, namely the Order of Sikatuna Award with the rank of Datu, gold level in 2009, the Order of Lakandula Award with the rank of Grand Officer, Maringal na Pinuno in 2008, and the Gawad Mabini Award with the rank of Grand Officer, Dakilang Kamanong in 2008. Whereas Ambassador Lucenario earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science magna cum laude from Manuel L. Quezon University, thereafter obtained his Bachelor of Laws degree in 1984 from San Beda College. Whereas Ambassador Lucenario had a Master of Laws degree from the University of Manila and a Diploma in International Relations from the Deutsche Stiftung für Internationale in Twiglong in Berlin, Germany. Whereas the Senate of the Philippines joins the nation and his family in mourning for the loss of the distinguished career diplomat. Now, therefore, be it resolved, as it is hereby resolved by the Senate of the Philippines, to express its deep sympathy and sincere condolence on the untimely demise of the Philippine envoy to Pakistan, Honorable Domingo Lucenario Jr.
Majority Leader.
Sir President, as in the previous resolution where all senators would also like to attach their name to the victims in Nepal, in this case, It is very personal to many senators, their admiration for the good ambassador and for the tragic event. May I request that all senators present also be made co-authors of this resolution?
Any
Co-
objection? All the senators present are made co-authors.
Mr. President, I move that we approve proposed Senate Resolution 1328, taking into consideration proposed Senate Resolution 1329, subject to style.
Any objection? The chair hears none. Proposed Senate Resolution 1328 is hereby adopted, taking into consideration proposed Senate Resolution 1329.
Mr. President, may we acknowledge the presence of and welcome to the Senate students of Palawan State University, headed by Mr. Jeter Sespenye. May we ask them to rise to be recognized?
The students of Palawan State University are hereby recognized, and their presence is made of record. They're headed by Mr. Sispenye.
Mr. President, also in the building, I'm not sure if they're in the session hall right now, are officers of the Fraternal Order of the Philippine Eagle, led by their NCR Governor, Nestor Mendoza, and National Spokesperson, Aladin Lorenzo. We wish to welcome them to the Senate, Mr. President.
We welcome our visitors to the Senate.
Mr. President, I move that we transfer Senate Bill number 2481 under Committee Report number 118 from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special order.
Any objection? Hearing none.
With the
Senate Bill 2481, the Committee Report 118, is transferred from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders.
Mr. President, this is the bill concerning the Northern Mindanao Medical Center. With the consent of our colleagues, I move that we consider Senate Bill number 2481 under Committee Report number 118.
So, moved.
With the permission of the body, I move that the Secretary read only the title of the said measure.
Secretary will do so.
Senate Bill 2481, an act to improve the facilities of Northern Mindanao Medical Center, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 7938, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes.
Mr. President, I move that we recognize Senator Gingona to sponsor the said measure.
Senator Gingona is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, I rise to sponsor Senate Bills 2481 and 260 under Committee Report number 118. For more than 90 years, Mr. President, the Northern Mindanao Medical Center, with its well-trained personnel, has served an extensive number of patients not only from Cagayan de Oro City, but also from the entire region. It has protected the right to health of people through its projects and facilities, which are compliant to the requirements of modern medical technology, while at the same time instilling health consciousness and promoting a healthy environment in the region. The number of patients in Northern Mindanao Medical Center has risen in recent years, and this has contributed to the hospital's problem of serving beyond its capacity. Currently, it has only 300 beds serving more than 600 patients a day. Thus, for it to be consistent in providing quality health services, there's a dire need to increase the hospital beds capacity. In view of the foregoing, the immediate passage of this measure is earnestly sought. Thank you, Mr. President.
The Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 2481 under Committee Report number 118.
Consideration of measure is suspended.
Mr. President, I move that we transfer Senate Bill number 2655 under Committee Report number 119 from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders.
So transferred.
With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider Senate Bill number 2655 under Committee Report number 119. This is the Davao Regional Medical Center, Mr. President.
In order.
With the permission of the body, I move that the Secretary read only the title of the said measure.
Secretary will do so.
Senate Bill number 2655, an act converting the Davao Regional Hospital into Davao Regional Medical Center, increasing its bed capacity, and appropriating funds, therefore, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 7179.
Mr. President, I move that we recognize Senator Gingona to sponsor the said measure.
Senator Gingona is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. This proposed measure seeks to convert Davao Regional Hospital in Tagum City, province of Davao del Norte, into a regional training center to be known as Davao Regional Medical Center, and to increase its bed capacity from 200 to 600. Currently, the Davao Regional Hospital is a government tertiary training hospital serving at least 17,000 major and minor surgical cases. Presently, the institution has a daily inpatient traffic of 600 or thrice its mandated capacity. The patients who come are not only from Davao region but also from regions 9, 10, 12, and Caraga. The Davao Regional Hospital holds the distinction of being the cancer center of Mindanao. It has a neurosurgery training center and has the only accredited kidney transplant program in Mindanao. Expanding the bed capacity of Davao Regional Hospital is a viable solution to addressing the hospital's persistent capacity problem and shall greatly boost the development of Davao Region's health sector. The hospital conversion into a medical training center should provide opportunities of affordable medical internship for local medical students, thus further improving the quality of basic health services to the growing populace of this region. In view of the foregoing, the immediate passage of this measure is earnestly sought. Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill number 1248 under Committee Report number 1. Sorry, Mr. President, that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 2655 under Committee Report number 119.
So suspended.
Mr. President, I move that we transfer House Bill number 1248 under Committee Report number 131 from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders.
So transferred.
With the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider House Bill number 1248 under Committee Report 131. This is the renaming of Gubat Sorsogon District Hospital.
Approved.
With the permission of the body, I move that the Secretary read only the title of the said measure.
Secretary will do so.
House number 1248, an act changing the name of Gubat District Hospital to Salvador R. Encinas District Hospital in Gubat, Sorsogon.
Mr. President, I move that we recognize once again Senator Gingona to sponsor the said measure.
Senator Gingona is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to change the name of Gubat District Hospital to Salvador Roca Encinas District Hospitals in the municipality of Gubat, Sorsogon. Salvador R. Encinas was a war veteran who survived the infamous Death March, was the congressman of the 2nd District, then of Sorsogon, from the 3rd Congress, that was in 1953, to the 7th Congress in 1972, when Congress was abolished because of martial law. During his 19 years as a representative of the district, he helped in the economic and infrastructure development of the towns of Prieto, Diaz, Gubat, Barcelona, Bulusan, Irosin, Santa Magdalena, Matdog, and Bulan. He sent poor students to school and helped impoverished families financially. Aside from sponsoring and co-sponsoring important legislations, he also chaired the Committee on Accounts from 1962 to 1972. Given the pivotal role of the late Congressman Salvador R. Encinas in the growth and advancement of his district, primarily in his hometown of Gubat, it is but fitting to memorialize his name in the hospital he helped establish. In view of the foregoing, the immediate passage of this bill is earnestly sought. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill 1248 under Committee Report number 131.
Consideration of the measure is suspended.
Mr. President, may I ask for a few minutes suspension?
1 minute suspended.
Senator Pia is asking.
Hmm.
Kasi daw may namang Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session resumed.
With the consent of the Senate, Mr. President, I move that we resume consideration of Senate Bill number 1386 under Committee Report number 71. This is the legislative bill on Public Employment Service Office, the PESO bill, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none. Consideration is in order.
Mr. President, the parliamentary status is that we are in the period of interpellations. I move that we recognize the sponsor, Senator Angara.
Senator Angara is recognized.
Mr. President, my information is that there are no other senators who registered their intention to interpellate the sponsor and the sponsor of the bill. So I move that we close the period of interpellation.
So closed.
Mr. President, I move that we open the period for committee amendments.
Period for committee amendments is in order.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Majority Leader. We have the honor to recommend on behalf of your Committee on Labor the following committee amendments to read as follows. On page 1, line 6, before the word "and," to insert the word "first."
Any objection? Hearing none.
On the same page, page 1, and the same line, after the word "and," to insert the words "second class."
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Mr. President, on the same page, line 7, after the word "municipalities," to insert the phrase "and other strategic areas as may be determined by the Department of Labor and Employment, DOLE, and the local government unit, LGU," in parentheses.
Approved.
Finally, Mr. President, on page 3, to delete line 46 to 55 and insert 2 paragraphs to read as follows. The LGUs shall provide funding for the operation and maintenance of its PESO from the internal revenue allotment and other internally generated income of the LGU concerned, period. Likewise, the operation and maintenance of the job placement offices of NGOs and SUCs shall be charged against their internally generated income, period. In no case shall NGOs and SUCs be provided funding by the national government for the operation and maintenance of their respective job placement offices. For the DOLE, funds for the provision of technical assistance, training, and supervision of the PESO shall be included in the budget of the DOLE in the National General Appropriation Act. The amount necessary to implement the provisions of this act shall be included by the Department of Budget and Management in the Annual General Appropriations Act. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. May we request that a clean copy of this bill, together with the committee amendments integrated, be distributed tomorrow for our colleagues for their reference in case they want to propose individual amendments, Mr. President.
The Secretary is directed to prepare a clean copy of the measure as amended.
Mr. President.
Yes, I'm sorry. Senator Soto.
Before the Majority Leader moves to close the period of committee amendments, may I be allowed one question to the sponsor, Mr. President?
With the permission of the
Make it
Chamber,
two. Make it
and
two.
if the gentleman sponsor will yield, Secretary.
Most willing to the distinguished minority leader, Mr. President.
Just 2 questions, Mr. President. The first one is, may I know who is the principal author and sponsor of this measure, Mr. President?
The principal author is the chairman of the Committee on Labor, Senator Jingo Estrada.
Senator Jingo Estrada. The next question is that, is your father not objecting to this bill, Mr. President?
Who?
His father, Senator Angara, is not objecting to the bill.
I don't believe so, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, Minority Leader. Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader?
I think both senators agree to pesos and to public employment, Mr. President. Sir President, in furtherance of the motion of the sponsor, that a clean copy be given to the members of the Senate so that we may be able to formulate, if any, individual amendments, I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 1386 under Committee Report number 71.
So suspended.
Sir President, may I ask for a minute suspension?
1 minute suspension.
na yung strategic trademark? Dahil maaga pa. Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session is resumed.
Mr. President, with the consent of our colleagues and of the body, may we resume consideration of committee report number 50. This is an act declaring the 5th day of October of every day as the National Teachers' Day, Senate Bill number 510.
Any objection here and consideration of measure is in order.
Mr. President, the parliamentary status is that Senator Pia delivered the sponsorship speech. So I now move that we open the period for interpellation.
Any period for interpellation is in order.
Sir President, there are no senators who have indicated their intention to interpellate, so I move that we close the period of interpellation.
Period for interpellation is terminated.
Sir President, I move that we open the period for committee amendments.
Bill for committee amendments is in order.
May we recognize Senator Pia Cayetano, Mr. President.
Senator Cayetano is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I just have one committee amendment. On page 1, after line 18, insert a new section 2 to read as follows. Section 2, lead agency. Pursuant to the observance of the National Teachers' Day, the annual program of activities shall be prepared and implemented with the Department of Education, open parenthesis, DepEd, close parenthesis, as the lead agency, and renumber the succeeding sections accordingly. We submit.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill 510 under Committee Report number 50.
Why can we not approve it at second reading?
Yeah, minute suspension.
1 minute suspension. Oh, okay na.
Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Resume.
Mr. President, may I withdraw my motion and restate? Upon consultation with the minority leader, Mr. President, I move that we close the period for committee amendments and open the period for individual amendments.
So, approved.
Mr. President, there are no senators who have indicated their intent to propose individual amendments, so I move that we close the period for individual amendment.
So closed.
Mr. President, I move that we approve Senate Bill number 510 under Committee Report number 50 on second reading.
Any objection? Hearing none. Approved.
Mr. President, may I ask that with the permission of the sponsor and authors that those present be made co-authors of the said Senate bill.
So approved.
Mr. President, I move that we proceed with the second additional reference of business.
The second additional reference of this. Do I have it here? The chair does not have a copy of the second additional reference of business. Huh?
Sir President, while waiting for the copy, may we acknowledge the presence of the proud kababayans of the Senate President, the Mayor Dustan Claudio S. Sale of Municipality of San Miguel, Iloilo, together with 24 barangay captains.
The presence of the Mayor of San Miguel and the barangay captains of San Miguel, 2nd District of Iloilo, are made of record. Welcome to the Senate. Mayor Sale.
Minute suspension, Mr. President.
1 minute suspension.
Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session is resumed.
Mr. President, may we proceed with the second additional reference of business?
The Secretary is directed.
Second additional reference of business. Committee report. Committee report number 140, prepared and submitted jointly by the Committees on National Defense and Security, Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, and Finance on Senate number 2762, with Senators Trillanes IV, Grace Poe Escudero, and Cynthia A. Villar as authors thereof, entitled an act preventing the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction by managing the trade in strategic goods, the provision of related services, and for other purposes, recommending its approval in substitution of Senate number 1866, sponsors Senators Trillanes IV, Grace Poe, and Escudero.
Calendar for ordinary business.
Mr. President, I move that we transfer Senate Bill number 2762 under Committee Report number 140 from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders with the permission of our colleagues.
So transferred.
Mr. President, with the consent of the Senate, I move that we consider Senate Bill number 2762 under Committee Report number 140.
Consideration of the measure is in order.
With the permission of the body, I move that the Secretary read only the title of the said measure.
Secretary will read the title of the measure.
An act preventing the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction by managing the trade in strategic goods, the provision of related services, and for other purposes.
Mr. President, I move that we recognize Senator Trillanes to sponsor the said measure.
Senator Trillanes is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Committee on National Defense and Security has the privilege to sponsor Senate Bill number 2762, known as the Strategic Trade Management Act. Mr. President, recent technological developments and the globalization of the world's economy and widespread international transactions have made our world a much smaller place, so they say. With the advent of the Internet, global communication and networking have become possible and commonplace. Budget airlines have made international travel more accessible to millions of people worldwide. These developments, however, have also contributed to more security concerns between and among countries. After the so-called 9/11 terror attack, the concept of terrorism has evolved to become more international and multinational in scope, more indiscriminate, targeting and or creating fear in the heart of the world's civilian population. Further, with the height of globalization and the age of information, the reach and delivery systems for terror groups have also been enhanced and have expanded this reign of terror. Terrorist networks have learned to take advantage of the global economic, information, and telecommunications networks in objectives. A classic example is the case of Abdul Qadir Khan network. In February 2004, Pakistani scientist Abdul Khan and his associates admitted successfully exploiting gaps in the national export control systems in Pakistan and other major supplier states, and assisted countries such as Iran, North Korea, and Libya in acquiring a whole range of technology for nuclear weapons. They did this through layers of companies that conducted seemingly insignificant transactions. Even the goods we use daily can be utilized in the development and production of weapons of mass destruction. There is possible danger posed by nuclear, radioactive, strategic, and dual-use goods, materials, and services. It is for this reason that more countries are recognizing their responsibilities with regard to nuclear security and more generally global security against the propagation of weapons of mass destruction. There is a need for strategic trade control systems to facilitate and monitor transfers of strategic and dual-use goods and technologies. The term dual-use goods and technologies refer to goods and technologies which can be used both for peaceful means as well as to build WMD, such as chemicals which can be used to make either makeup, fertilizers, or high explosives. There is a need to enable governments to simultaneously pursue the objectives of WMD non-proliferation and other economic objectives. The adoption of UN Security Council Resolution 1540 establishes legally binding obligations on all UN member states to have and enforce appropriate and effective measures against the proliferation of nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons and their delivery systems. The Philippines has consistently supported the objectives of this resolution. We recognize that global security against WMD is a primary responsibility of each country. However, while other countries in Asia and the Pacific were able to adopt appropriate pieces of legislation toward this end, our country was left behind. Although we have control, regulation, and licensing activities that deal with prohibited and regulated items, unfortunately, these activities are implemented by various government agencies. Moreover, we do not have a comprehensive system that covers the entire list of controlled items under multilateral export control regimes. It is for this purpose that your committee seeks the approval of this bill, which aims to establish a sound regulatory and organizational structure that will address both our need to pursue economic advancement in global trade and to strengthen our country's internal security. Under this proposed measure, a national strategic goods list shall be created, which would describe with specificity the strategic goods subject to control and authorization. A permanent committee under National Security Council will also be created and will be known as the NSC Strategic Management Committee. This committee, complemented by various government agencies, would serve as a central authority on all matters relating to strategic trade management, particularly focusing on the country's international commitment towards the promotion of a secured and safe environment for trade in strategic goods. Further, a strategic trade management office will also be created to serve as the executive and technical agency of the national government to handle the national management systems for the trade in strategic goods. Among the relevant functions of this office include the following: A. Implementation of strategies, policies, and guidelines formulated by the NEC STMCOM. B. Establishment and maintenance of a comprehensive database information system on strategic goods and on persons engaged in the trade of strategic goods and the provision of related services. C. Issuance or denial of issuance of authorizations for the trade of strategic goods and the provision of related services. And D. Conduct of preliminary investigation into violations committed under this Act. Any person who intends to engage in the export, import, transit, and transshipment of strategic goods or the provision of related services shall be required to obtain an authorization from the STMO. Without the proper legislation in place that would prevent proliferation of WMD, we risk the destruction of lives and property and the security of our country should the same fall in the wrong hands. We also risk involving our country in terroristic acts and schemes through the transfer of materials across our borders. Toward this end, and consistent with our foreign policy and national security interests, and in support of efforts to counter terrorism, control crime, and safeguard public safety, your committee urges this august body to support the immediate passage of this measure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 2762 under Committee Report number 140.
Consideration of the measure is suspended.
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn the session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Wednesday, May 13, 2015.
Session is adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, May 13, 2015 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.